My sister stole every guy I dated for years. So, I introduced her to someone who destroyed her life. I was cursed with a built-in boyfriend thief the day my younger sister Cassandra was born. And I'm not talking about borrowed hoodies or innocent crushes. I mean the kind of theft where if I brought home a boyfriend, she'd have him wrapped around her finger within weeks. If I introduced someone at Sunday dinner, she'd already be sliding into his DMs before we finished Mom's apple pie. If I posted a cute couple photo on Facebook, she'd somehow bump into him at his favorite Starbucks the next day. Everyone always said Cassandra got Mom's stunning looks while I inherited Dad's sharp wit. The comparison stung, but I learned to live with it until the boyfriend stealing started. It began innocently enough in high school. My boyfriend, Blake, suddenly wanted to study at our house every afternoon. Cassandra would float by in her volleyball uniform, asking him to help with her chemistry homework. I didn't see the manipulation then because I trusted them both completely. But looking back, the signs were flashing neon bright. By the time we hit our 20s, Cassandra's tactics became surgical in their precision. I dated Austin for 6 months before bringing him to meet the family. 1 week after that disastrous dinner at Chili's, Cassandra had a crisis and needed his broad shoulder to cry on at 2 o'clock in the morning. They slept together that same night. Then came Garrett from my graphic design firm. Same playbook, family dinner, manufactured emergency, midnight comfort session. When I discovered their steamy text messages, she had the audacity to tilt her head and smile sweetly. "I'm just making sure they're worthy of you, Everly," she said, batting her eyelashes. Garrett failed the test miserably. Deep down, I had to admit she had a point. If these men would abandon me for my sister so easily, maybe they weren't my soulmates after all. But that logic did nothing to heal the betrayal burning in my chest. Then came Nathan, the one who nearly broke me. We'd been together for 2 years, talking seriously about marriage after I finished my psychology degree. Cassandra got wasted at his birthday party, the one I'd planned for weeks, and kissed him right in front of everyone at Buffalo Wild Wings. When he chose her over me, she had the nerve to post on Instagram, "Sometimes you can't help who you fall for, too hard, sorry, not sorry." Mom cornered me at Thanksgiving, her voice sharp as the carving knife. "You need to stop parading these men in front of Cassandra," she hissed while mashing the potatoes. "She can't control herself when you dangle temptation right under her nose. Why do you keep setting her up to fail?" In my mind, I hadn't been dangling anything. I'd been trying to build meaningful relationships only to watch them crumble under my sister's relentless charm offensive. But everything was about to change. 3 months later, fate smiled on me at my college roommate's wedding in Nashville. That's where I met Logan. Everything I'd ever dreamed of wrapped in a 6 feet 2 inches package. Kind, successful as a cybersecurity analyst, and apparently immune to female manipulation. For 8 blissful months, I kept him completely secret from my family. We drove to neighboring towns for dates, avoided posting couple photos, and I told absolutely no one about him. I thought I'd finally outsmarted Cassandra's boyfriend stealing operation. This was the healthiest, most genuine relationship I'd ever experienced. Logan talked about our future with such certainty that I started believing in happy endings again. We'd spend Saturday mornings at the farmer's market in Franklin, picking out fresh peaches and artisan bread while discussing everything from politics to our favorite childhood movies. Logan would make me laugh until my sides hurt, then hold me close during scary parts of thriller films at the drive-in theater. "I've never felt this way about anyone," he whispered one evening as we watched the sunset from Radnor Lake. "You're different, Everly. You're real." I believed him completely. For the first time in my life, I felt chosen for who I was, not despite who my sister was. But then my loose-lipped cousin Amanda accidentally mentioned Logan to Mom during a phone call, who naturally mentioned him to Cassandra within hours. My sister's detective skills rivaled the FBI. She tracked him down through his company's LinkedIn profile within days. The betrayal hit me like a freight train when I used my spare key to enter Logan's apartment and found them tangled together in our bed. The worst part wasn't catching them in the act. It was Cassandra's reaction. She sat up completely naked and utterly shameless and delivered the killing blow. "Honestly, I did you a huge favor," she said, gathering her clothes with zero remorse. "He barely lasted 10 minutes. You deserve so much better than that, sis." Logan just shrugged, not even bothering to cover himself. "Your sister's way too hot for me not to try. You understand, right?" I stood there trembling with rage and humiliation while Cassandra kissed him goodbye like I was invisible, like I was nothing more than furniture in the room. That soul-crushing moment crystallized everything for me. Cassandra didn't steal my boyfriends out of sisterly protection or innocent attraction. She did it because she could, because she enjoyed watching me crumble, because destroying my happiness had become her twisted hobby. Walking to my Toyota Camry in the parking lot, my hand shaking so badly I could barely grip the keys, I made a decision that would change everything. Cassandra craved men she couldn't resist. Fine. I'd give her exactly what she wanted, wrapped in a package that would destroy her from the inside out. The plan started forming in my mind during the 40-minute drive home to my apartment in Green Hills. Cassandra always went for the same type: gorgeous, charming, seemingly successful men who made her feel chosen and special. She never looked deeper than the surface. Never questioned their stories or backgrounds. That blind spot would be her downfall. I spent the next few weeks diving deep into public records, court databases, and background check websites. That's how I discovered Vincent Moretti, a stunningly handsome man who claimed to be a real estate mogul from Atlanta. Recently divorced after his ex-wife documented years of financial and emotional abuse in court filings. 2 separate restraining orders from other ex-girlfriends. Currently under investigation for investment fraud. Perfect. Vincent's Instagram profile painted him as a successful entrepreneur, complete with professional photos that could have landed him modeling contracts. Shots of him in designer suits at charity galas, driving a Maserati through downtown Atlanta, dining at 5-star restaurants with beautiful women whose faces were always strategically cropped out. But digging deeper revealed the truth: a sophisticated con artist who specialized in manipulating women into financial ruin. His pattern was always the same: sweep them off their feet with lavish gifts and promises of forever, then slowly drain their bank accounts before disappearing into the night. I created a fake business profile as a potential client and reached out to him with a real estate inquiry. We met at a trendy coffee shop in Buckhead where I played the role of vulnerable older sister perfectly. I showed him Cassandra's Instagram photos, gushing about how she always stole my boyfriends because she was so irresistibly beautiful. "I just can't compete with her," I said, letting my voice crack with practiced emotion. "Every guy I've ever loved ends up choosing her instead. I feel so worthless." Vincent's eyes lit up like a predator spotting wounded prey. He saw exactly what I wanted him to see: a broken woman he could easily manipulate, with a gorgeous sister who represented the ultimate trophy. "You seem like an incredible person, Everly," he said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. "Any man who would leave you for someone else is an idiot." Hook, line, and sinker. We started dating immediately, with me playing the part of the smitten girlfriend while he laid the groundwork for his usual con. He love-bombed me with expensive dinners at the Capitol Grill, weekend trips to Savannah, and promises of a future together. But I could see through his performance. Every compliment was calculated, every gesture designed to make me emotionally dependent. After 3 weeks of this charade, I told him I wanted to keep our relationship secret from Cassandra because she had a history of stealing my boyfriends. Then I invited him as my date to Mom's birthday dinner at Cracker Barrel, knowing exactly what chain reaction I was setting in motion. Vincent thought he was playing me, positioning himself to make me his next victim while adding Cassandra as a bonus conquest. He had no idea he was walking into a trap I'd spent weeks perfecting. At Mom's birthday dinner, Vincent performed his role flawlessly. He treated Cassandra like she was invisible while showering me with attention that felt genuine enough to fool everyone at the table. He complimented my choice of country fried steak, laughed at Dad's terrible jokes about his fishing trips, and even brought Mom a beautiful bouquet of roses. "Everly's told me so much about you, Mrs. Henderson," he said with that $1,000,000 smile. "She gets her kindness from you, I can tell." But Cassandra couldn't stand being ignored, especially by a man this attractive. She escalated exactly as I predicted, touching Vincent's arm when she talked, leaning too close when she laughed, whispering inside jokes only he could hear. Her flirtation became so obvious that even our oblivious parents started noticing. Dad cleared his throat uncomfortably when Cassandra practically climbed into Vincent's lap to show him something on her phone. Mom shot her warning looks that Cassandra completely ignored. I excused myself to the restroom and watched through the slightly cracked door as Cassandra moved in for the kill. "My sister's sweet, but she's pretty vanilla in every way," she whispered, running her finger along Vincent's forearm. "I could show you things she wouldn't even dream of trying." When I returned to the table and caught them exchanging phone numbers under the table, I threw my glass of sweet tea directly in Vincent's face and stormed out sobbing. The performance of a lifetime, complete with mascara running down my cheeks. Cassandra called that night, her voice dripping with fake concern that didn't fool me for a second. "Vincent totally came on to me at dinner," she said. "But honestly, you're better off without him. Something about him seems really sketchy." Within 2 days, she was posting Instagram stories from his luxury penthouse in Midtown Atlanta. Within a week, she'd fallen head over heels in love with his lies. Within a month, she'd moved in completely and given him access to her bank accounts for shared expenses. I watched it all unfold from the sidelines, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and growing uneasiness. Cassandra was walking blindly into quicksand, and I was the one who'd pointed her in that direction. But after years of having my heart shattered by her selfishness, I couldn't bring myself to warn her about the danger she was in. Her Instagram posts showed a fairy tale romance, champagne breakfasts in bed, shopping sprees on Rodeo Drive, romantic getaways to Charleston and Miami. Vincent showered her with designer handbags, diamond earrings, and promises of forever. His talking about proposing, she gushed during one of our rare phone calls. "Can you believe it? I've never been this happy." I made appropriate sister noises while secretly knowing this was exactly how Vincent operated. The higher he lifted his victims, the harder they'd fall. The first crack in Cassandra's perfect new life appeared 6 weeks later when a lawyer representing Vincent's ex-wife contacted her directly. Vincent had hidden assets during his divorce proceedings, and now Cassandra could be held liable as an accomplice to fraud. "They're saying I might get sued too," Cassandra called me, panic creeping into her voice. But Vincent explained everything. His ex-wife is just bitter and trying to cause trouble. I made sympathetic noises while secretly knowing this was only the beginning. Next came the revelation that Vincent's real estate empire was actually an elaborate Ponzi scheme. Cassandra had already invested her entire $45,000 savings, convinced she was getting in on the ground floor of luxury condos in downtown Nashville. When the Tennessee Department of Commerce shut down the operation, her money vanished overnight. "It has to be a mistake," she sobbed during another late-night call. "Vincent's lawyers are fighting it. He says we'll get everything back, plus interest." But when Cassandra tried to leave his penthouse after discovering more lies, Vincent showed his true colors. He grabbed her wrist so hard it left bruises, then locked her in the bedroom while he raged about ungrateful women who didn't appreciate everything he'd done for them. When she finally escaped and tried to access her accounts, she discovered he'd emptied everything: checking, savings, even her 401k. Worse, he'd used her personal information to apply for credit cards and loans in her name, burying her under $95,000 in debt she never knew existed. "Everly, I need help," she whispered during a 3 a.m. phone call. "He's destroyed everything. My credit is ruined, and there are collection agencies calling every hour. I don't know what to do." The desperation in her voice almost broke my resolve. "Almost. Have you tried calling the police?" I asked, knowing full well she'd already discovered they couldn't help with financial crimes this complex. "They say it's a civil matter," she choked out. "But I have proof he forged my signature on loan documents. That has to be criminal, right?" It was. And Vincent's house of cards was about to come crashing down in the most spectacular way possible. The final blow came at dawn on a Tuesday morning when FBI agents broke down the door of Vincent's penthouse. They found Cassandra's signature on dozens of fraudulent documents Vincent had tricked her into signing, making her an unwitting accomplice to securities fraud, identity theft, and money laundering. My phone rang at 6:47 a.m. Cassandra's name flashed on the screen, but I let it go to voicemail. Cassandra's voicemail was barely coherent through her sobs. "Everly, please. I'm in Davidson County Jail and they're saying I might go to prison. Vincent used me for everything and now the FBI thinks I was helping him. I know I hurt you, but please, I'm begging you. I need help." I listened to it 3 times before deleting it. The local news picked up the story within days. Local woman arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Cassandra's mugshot flashed across Channel 5's evening broadcast, her mascara streaked and her eyes hollow with devastation. Mom called immediately, hysterical. "You have to help your sister. She made mistakes, but she doesn't deserve this." "She made her own choices," I replied calmly. "Just like she did with Austin, Garrett, Nathan, and Logan." The silence stretched between us before Mom whispered, "You knew, didn't you? You knew what he was." I didn't answer because the truth was too complicated for a simple yes or no. Had I known Vincent would destroy Cassandra this completely? Not exactly. Had I researched him thoroughly enough to understand he was dangerous? Absolutely. Dad tried a different approach when he called later that week. Your sister's attorney says character witnesses could help reduce her sentence. Family members vouching for her character, talking about how this isn't who she really is. But it is who she really is, I said quietly. She's always taken what didn't belong to her. Vincent just happened to take back. The local paper ran a follow-up story detailing Vincent's criminal history, 3 previous victims across 4 states, all young women he targeted through dating apps and social media. The pattern was always the same: charm them, move in quickly, gain access to their finances, then disappear when the walls closed in. But this time, Vincent had gotten sloppy. He'd stayed too long, taken too much, and left too many digital footprints. The FBI had been tracking him for months, and Cassandra had unknowingly provided them with the evidence they needed to finally build a case. Cassandra ended up pleading guilty to lesser charges in exchange for testifying against Vincent. She served 8 months in minimum security prison and emerged with a felony record, destroyed credit, and a restraining order that prevented Vincent from contacting her ever again. The family dinners stopped. Mom couldn't look at me the same way, torn between horror at what I'd done and grudging admiration for my methodical revenge. Dad just shook his head whenever Cassandra's name came up, muttering about natural consequences and chickens coming home to roost. During those months of silence, I found myself wondering if I'd become the monster I'd set out to destroy. Cassandra moved across the country to Portland after her release, working as a barista and slowly rebuilding her life. We haven't spoken in 2 years, but I occasionally check her Instagram. The account that once showcased stolen boyfriends and designer gifts now features simple photos of coffee latte art and hiking trails. She looks older now, more cautious. The confident, predatory gleam in her eyes has been replaced by something quieter and more uncertain. Her bio simply reads, "Starting over. One day at a time." Sometimes I wonder if I went too far, if destroying my sister's life was worth the satisfaction of finally winning our twisted game. But then I remember Logan's shrug, Cassandra's naked smugness, and years of watching my happiness crumble for her entertainment. She got exactly what she'd been asking for her entire life, a man she couldn't resist. She just didn't expect him to resist destroying everything she held dear. I've been in therapy for a year now, working through the complex emotions of orchestrating someone's downfall, even someone who'd hurt me repeatedly. Dr. Matthews says revenge rarely brings the peace we expect it to. And she's right. I don't feel triumphant or vindicated. Mostly, I feel empty where all that anger used to live. But I also sleep better knowing that Cassandra will never steal another woman's boyfriend again. Do you regret it? Dr. Matthews asked during our last session. I thought about it for a long time before answering. I regret that it came to that. I regret that she pushed me to that point. I regret that our family fell apart. But do I regret stopping her from hurting other women the way she hurt me? No. I don't regret that at all. Vincent was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison for securities fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. The judge called him a predator who specifically targeted vulnerable women for financial exploitation. He'll be eligible for parole in 8 years. Cassandra's sentence was much lighter: 8 months served, 2 years probation, and full restitution to Vincent's other victims. Her cooperation with the FBI had been invaluable in building their case. Last month, I received an unexpected letter forwarded through my parents' address. Cassandra's handwriting was shaky but legible. Everly, I know you probably won't read this, but I need to say it anyway. I'm sorry. Not just for Vincent and what happened with the FBI, but for everything. Logan, Nathan, Garrett, Austin, Blake, all of them. I see now what I was doing, and I understand why you hate me. I can't undo any of it, but I want you to know that I'm getting help. Real help. I hope someday you can forgive me, but I understand if you can't. I wouldn't forgive me either. Cassandra. I kept the letter for 3 weeks before finally throwing it away. Some wounds are too deep for apologies to heal, and some betrayals cut too close to the bone for forgiveness to grow. But in my quieter moments, when I'm honest with myself, I know the truth. Cassandra learned her lesson the hard way, just like I'd wanted. Some lessons can only be learned through complete devastation. And my sister finally learned hers.